Chapter 24. Nate, Thursday, October 25th, 12:20 a.m. I use my motorcycle into the cul-de-sac at the end of Bayview Estates and kill the motor, staying still for a minute to check for any hint that someone is nearby. It's quiet, so I climb off and give a hand to Bronwyn so she can do the same. The neighborhood is still a half-finished construction area with no streetlights, so Bronwyn and I walk in the darkness to house number 5. When we get there, I try the front door, but it's locked. We circle to the back of the house, and I jiggle each window until I find one that opens. Slow enough to the ground that I haul myself in easily. Go back out front. I'll let you in, I say in a low voice. I think I can do it too, Bronwyn says, preparing to pull herself up. She doesn't have the arm strength, though, and I have to lean over and help her in. The window's not big enough for two. When I let go, she steps and step back to give her room. She scrambles the rest of the way and lands on the floor with a thud. Graceful, I say. She gets to her feet and pushes off her jeans. Shut up, she mutters, looking around. Should we unlock the front for Addie and Cooper? We're in an empty, under-construction house after midnight for a meeting of the Bayview Four. It's like the bad spy movie, but there's no way all of us could get together anywhere else without drawing too much attention. Even my don't-give-a-crap neighbors are suddenly my business now the McHale Powers team keeps cruising down our street. Plus, Brown's still grounded. Yeah, I say, as we feel our way through a half-built kitchen into a living room with a huge bay window. The moonlight streams across the door and I twist its deadbolt open. What time did you tell them? 12:30, she says, pressing a button on her Apple Watch. What time is it? 12:25. Good, we have 5 minutes. I saw my hand along the side of her face and back her up against the wall, pulling her lips to mine. She leans in and wraps her arms around my neck, opening her mouth with a soft sigh. My hands travel down to the curve of her waist to her hips, finding the strip of bare skin under the hem of her shirt. Barn has this unbelievable stealth body under all her conservative clothes, although I've barely gotten to see any of it. Nate, she whispers after a few minutes in that breathless voice that drives me wild. You're going to tell me how things went with your mom. Yeah, I guess I was. I saw my mother again this afternoon. It was all right. She showed up on time and sober. She backed off asking questions and gave me money for the bills, but I spent the whole time taking bets with myself on how long it'd last. I'd say 2 weeks. Before I can answer, though, the door creaks and we're not alone anymore. A small figure slips inside and shuts the door behind her. The moonlight's bright enough that I can see Addie clearly, including the unexpected dark streak in her hair. Oh, good, not the first one, she whispers, and then puts her hands on her hips as she glares at Brown at me. Are you two making out? Seriously? Did you dye your hair? Brown counters, pulling away from me. What color is that? She reaches out her hand and examines Addie's bangs. Purple? I like it. Why the change? I can't keep up with the maintenance requirements of short hair. Addie grumbles, dropping the bike helmet on the floor. Doesn't look bad with color mixed in. She cocks her head at me and adds, I don't need your commentary if you disagree, by the way. I hold up my hands. I wasn't going to say a word, Addie. When did you even start knowing my name? She deadpans. I grin at her. You've gotten kind of feisty since you lost the hair and the boyfriend. She rolls her eyes. Where were you doing this? Living room? Yeah, but back corner, away from the window, Bronwyn says, picking her way through the construction supplies and sitting cross-legged in front of the stone fireplace. I sprawl next to her and wait for Addie to follow, but she's still poised near the door. I think I hear something, she says, peering through the peephole. She opens the door at a crack and steps through to let Cooper in. Addie leads him towards the fireplace, but nearly goes flying when she trips on the extension cord. Ow! Damn it! That was loud. Sorry. She settles herself next to Brown, and Cooper sits beside her. How are things? Brown asks Cooper. He rubs his hand over his face. Oh, you know, living the nightmare. My father won't talk to me. I'm getting torn apart online, and none of the teams that were scouting me would return Coach Ruffalo's calls. Other than that, I'm great. I'm so sorry, Brown says, and Addie grabs his hands and folds it in both of hers. He's out of sight, doesn't pull away. It is what it is, I guess. Let's just get to why we're here, huh? Bronwyn clears her throat. Well, mainly to compare notes. Eli kept talking about looking for patterns and connections, which makes a lot of sense. I thought maybe we could go through some of the things we know and don't know. She frowns and starts ticking off things on her fingers. Simon was about to post some pretty shocking things about all of us. Somebody got us into that room together with all the fake cell phones. Someone was poisoned while we were there. Lots of people besides us had reason to be mad at Simon. He was mixed up in all kinds of creepy 4chan stuff. Who knows what kind of people he pissed off. Janae said he hated being an outsider and he was really upset. Nothing more ever happened with Keeley, Eddie says, looking at Cooper. Do you remember that? He started hitting on her during junior prom, and she caved at a party a couple weeks later and hooked up with him for like 5 minutes. He thought it was actually going somewhere. Cooper hunches his shoulders like he's remembering something he'd rather not. Huh, right. I guess that's a pattern or connection or whatever. With me and Nate, I mean. I don't get it. What? He missed my eyes. When I broke up with Keely, she told me she'd hooked up with you at a party to give her to Simon, and I asked her out a couple weeks after. You and Keely? Addie stares at me. She never said. It was just a couple times. Honestly, I'd forgotten all about it. And you're good friends with Keely, or you were, Bronwyn says to Addie. She doesn't seem fazed at the idea of Keely and me getting together. I have to appreciate how she doesn't lose focus. But I have nothing to do with her, so I don't know. Does that mean something, or doesn't it? I don't see how it could, Cooper says. Nobody except Simon cared about what happened between him and Keely. Keely might have, Bronwyn points out. Cooper stifles a laugh. You can't think Keely had anything to do with this. We're freewheeling here, Bronwyn says, leaning forward and propping her chin on her hand. She's a common thread. Yeah, but Keely has zero motive for anything. Shouldn't we be talking about people who hated Simon, besides you? Cooper adds, and Bronwyn goes rigid. I mean, for that blog post you wrote about your sister, Addie told me about it. That was low. Really low. I never saw it the first time around. I'd have said something if I did. Well, I didn't kill him for it, Bronwyn says tightly. I'm not saying... Cooper starts, but Addie interrupts. Let's stay on track. What about Leah, or even Aiden Wu? You can't tell me they wouldn't have liked revenge. Bronwyn swallows and lowers her eyes. I wonder about Leah, too. She's been... Well, I have a connection to her. I haven't told you guys about it, but she and I were partners in a Model UN competition, and by mistake, we told Simon the wrong deadline that got him disqualified. He started torturing Leah on about that right after. Brown told me this. Actually, it's been eating at her for a while, but it's news to Cooper and Addie who start bobbling their heads. So, Leah's got reason to hate Simon and be mad at you. Then she frowns. But what about the rest of us? Why drag us along? I shrug. Maybe we were just the secret Simon had on hand. Collateral damage. Bronwyn sighs. I don't know. Leah's hot-headed, but not exactly sneaky. I'm more confused about Janae's deal. She turns towards Addie. One of the strangest things about the Tumblr is how many details I got right. You almost have to be one of us to know that stuff, or spend a lot of time with us. Do you think it's weird that Janae hangs out with us even though we're accused of killing her best friend? Well, to be fair, I did invite her, Addie says, but she's been awfully skittish lately. She got noticed she and Simon weren't together as much as usual right before he died. I kept wondering if something happened between them. She leans back and chews on her bottom lip. I suppose if anybody would have known what secrets was about to spill and how to use them, it'd be Janae. I just don't know you guys. I'm not sure Janae's got it in her to do something like this. Maybe Simon rejected her and she killed him. Cooper looks doubtful before he finishes the sentence. Don't see how, though. She wasn't there. She shrugs. Bronwyn shrugs. We don't know that for sure. When I talked to Eli, he kept saying somebody could have planted the car accident as a distraction to slip into the room. If you take that as possibility, anybody could have done it. I made fun of Bronwyn when she first thought that up, but I don't know. I should remember more about that day. Could say for sure whether it's even possible. The whole thing's turned into a blur. One of the cars was a red Camaro, Cooper recalls. Looked ancient. I don't know. I don't remember ever seeing it in the parking lot before, or since, which is weird when you think about it. Oh, come on, Addie scoffs. That's so far-fetched. Sounds like a lawyer with a guilty client grasping at straws. Someone new was probably just picking up a kid that day. Maybe, Cooper says. I don't know. Lewis's brother works in a repair place downtown. Maybe I'll ask him if a car like that came through, or if he can check with some other shops. He holds up a hand at Addie's raised eyebrow. Hey, you're not the police's favorite new person of interest, okay? I'm desperate here. We're not getting anywhere with the conversation, but I'm struck by a couple things as I listen to them talk. One, I like them all more than I thought I would. Brown's obviously been the biggest surprise, and like doesn't even cover it. But Addie's turned into kind of a badass, and Cooper's not as one-dimensional as I thought. And two, I don't think any of them did it. Bronwyn, Friday, October 26, 8 p.m. Friday night, my entire life settles into watch Mikael Powers investigates. I'm feeling more dread than usual between bracing myself for Simon's blog post about me, but worrying that something about Nate and me will make it into the broadcast. I never tried to kiss him at school, although in my defense, he was unbelievably hot in that particular moment. Anyways, we're all nervous. Maeve curls next to me as the Mikhail's theme music plays and photos of the baby flash across the screen. A murder investigation turns into a witch hunt. When police tactics include revealing personal information in the name of evidence collision, have they gone too far? Wait, what? The camera zooms in on Mikhail and he is pissed. I sit up straighter as he stares into the camera and says, Things in Bayview, California turned ugly this week when a closeted student involved in the investigation was outed after a round of police questioning and caused media firestorm that should concern every American who cares about privacy rights. And then remember, Mikhail Powers is gay. It came out when I was in junior high and it was a big deal because it happened after some photos of him kissing a guy circulated online. It wasn't his choice. The way he's covering the story now, he's still bitter. Because suddenly the Bayview police are the bad guys. They have no evidence, they've disrupted our lives, and they've violated Cooper's constitutional rights. They're on the defense, as the police spokesperson claims. They were careful with their questioning, and no leads came from the department. But the ACLU wants to get involved now. And there's Eli Kefner from Until Proven again, talking about how poorly this case has been handled from the beginning, with the four of us made into scapegoats, while nobody even asked who else might have wanted Simon Kelleher dead. Has everybody forgotten about the teacher? He asked, leaning forward from behind an overflowing desk. He's the only person who is in that room who's being treated as a witness instead of a suspect. Even though we had more opportunity than anyone, that can't be discounted. Maeve leans her head next to mine and whispers, You should be working for Until Proven, Bronwyn. Mikhail switches to the next segment. Will the real Simon Kelleher please stand up? Simon's class picture flashes across the screen as people reminisce about his good grades and nice family and all the clubs he belonged to. Then Leah Jackson pops up on screen, standing on Bayview High's front lawn. I turn to Maeve, wide eyes, and she looks equally shocked. She did it, she murmurs. She actually did it. These interviews followed by segments with other kids hurt by Simon's gossip, including Aiden Wu and a girl whose parents kicked her out when news spread about her being pregnant. Maeve's hands find mine as Mikhail drops his last bombshell. A screen capture of the 4chan discussion threads with Simon's worst post about the Orange County school shooting highlighted. Look, I support the notion of violently disrupting schools in theory, but this kid showed a depressing lack of imagination. I mean, it was fine, I guess. I got the job done, but it was so proastic. Haven't we seen this 100 times now? Kid shoots up the school, shoots himself, fell on 11, raise the stakes, for God's sake. Do something original. A grenade, maybe, samurai swords. Surprise me when you take out a bunch of assholes leaving. That's all I'm asking. I think back to Maeve texting away that day Janae got so upset with her at lunch. So you really did send that to the show, I whisper. I really did, she whispers back. I didn't know they used them, though. Nobody ever got back to me. By the time the broadcast finishes and the Bayview police are the real villains, followed closely by Simon, Addie, Nate, and I are innocent bystanders caught in a crossfire we don't deserve, and Cooper's the same. The whole thing's a stunning reversal. I'm not sure you could call it journalism, but Mikhail Powers Investigates definitely has an impact over the next few days. Somebody starts a Change.org petition to drop the investigation that collects almost 20,000 signatures. Then we'll be in local colleges get heat about whatever they discriminate against gay players. The tone of the media coverage shifts with more questions being raised about the police handling of the case more than about us. On return to school on Monday, people are actually talking to me again. Even Evan Neiman, who's been acting like we've never met, slides up to me at the last bell and asks if I'm going to mathlete practice. Maybe my life won't be fully normal again, but by the end of the week, I start hoping it'll be less criminal. Friday night, I'm on the phone with Nate, as usual, reading him the latest Tumblr post. Even that seems like it's about to give up. Being accused of murder is turning into monumental drag. I mean, sure, the TV coverage is interesting, and it makes me feel good that the smokescreen I put in place is working. People still have no clue who's responsible for killing Simon. Nate cuts me off after the first paragraph. Sorry, but we have more important things to discuss. Answer this honestly. I'm no longer a murder suspect. Will you still find me attractive? You'll still be on probation for drug dealing, I point out. It's pretty hot. But that's up in December, Nate replies. By the new year, I could be a model citizen. Your parents might even let me take you out on an actual date if you wanted to go. If I wanted to go. Nate, I've been waiting to go on a date with you since 5th grade. I tell him. I like that he wonders what we'll be like outside of this weird bubble. Maybe if we're both thinking about it, there's a possibility we'll figure it out. He tells me about his latest visit with his mother, who really seems to be trying. We watch a movie together, his choice, unfortunately, and I fall asleep to his voice criticizing the shoddy camera work. When I wake up Saturday morning, I notice my phone only has a few minutes left. I'll have to ask him for another one, which will be phone number 4, I think. Maybe we can actually use our phones one of these days. I sit in my bed a little later than usual, right until the time I need to get moving. If Maeve and I are going to do our usual running/library routine. I've just finished lacing up my sneakers and rooting around in my dresser for my nana when a tentative knock sounds at my bedroom door. Come in, I say, unearthing a small blue device from a pile of headbands. Is that you, Maeve? You're the reason why this is only 10% charge? I turn around to see my sister so white-faced and trembling that I almost drop my nano. Anytime Maeve looks sick, I'm seized with the horrible fear that she's had a relapse. Do you feel all right? I asked anxiously. I'm fine, but the words come out as a gasp. But you need to see something. Come downstairs, okay? What's going on? Just come. May's voice is so brittle that my heart thumps painfully. She clutches the banister all the way downstairs, about to ask if something's wrong with Mom or Dad when she leads me from the living room and points mutely at the television. When I see Nate in handcuffs being led away from his house with the words, "Arrest and Simon Keller for murder case," scrolling at the bottom of the screen.